Hello, everyone. It's me again. I'm gonna be talking about William Afton's motives for the killings of the children. Like, why did he become the monstrous killer he is now? And how did he become this way? I heard some believe he was driven by the grief of a tragedy, often thought to be the loss of his family, a selfish goal for immortality, or he was just a sick and twisted monster who enjoyed making people suffer. Judging by his actions and personality throughout the series, it's most likely the latter two. But I'm going to go over the speculation which I believe is the most likely reason. All this comes from the Villains Wiki. The first is that despite the fact that he caused the downfall of Fazbear Entertainment by murdering many children, his actual motivation for killing children is still a mystery. Though many have assumed he did this for his own enjoyment or as a part of an experiment to create life from the dead, which Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Simulator imply the latter, as part of an experiment to create life from the dead. Because a blueprint revealed the scooper's purpose to transfer a remnant, a substance that gives a soul its ability to remain after death, into the animatronics. But it's heavily implied that William is after remnants so he can become immortal. Ironically, the same game goes against it, showing that even after gaining the closest he'll ever have to immortality, he still wants to kill children. But this could be due to William's damaged psyche and having possibly gone mad with power sprain trap. No longer caring about his original motivation, or he just simply wants to continue with his experiments. I think it's more so a mix of both in this case. Like he was doing it for his own enjoyment, and it was all part of an experiment to create life from the dead. And he was after remnant so he could become immortal and never die. But his psyche was damaged. He just simply abandoned his original motivation because the game does go against it. Five Nights at Freddy's 4 and sister location suggests that William was motivated by the death of the crying child, his youngest son, and that his killings are either a targeted revenge scheme against Henry and Fazbear Entertainment for creating the dangerous spring lock animatronics by taking them out of business for good, harvesting remnant from children to resurrect his son, or both. But it depends on which date the missing children incident happened, with there being implications for both 1984 and 1985. That said, Charlie has been confirmed to be Afton's first victim in the franchise. But there are some disputes as to if any murders committed by William occurred before the crying child's death. Some believe Elizabeth's death came before the crying child's, but sister location states that Circus Babies opened after Freddy shut down. But it's unknown if Hand Unit is referring to Circus Babies Pizza World or Circus Babies Entertainment and Rental, or perhaps even both. Even if Elizabeth did die before the crying child, After would still lack a solid motivation for his actions, as the fun-time animatronics that kill Elizabeth were made to capture and kill children. I believe it's both. The death of his youngest son and that his killings are a targeted revenge scheme against Henry and Fazbear Entertainment for creating the dangerous Springlock animatronics by taking them out of business for good. It's not harvesting remnant from children to resurrect his son. But do I think Elizabeth died before the crying child? I don't know. Because let me look at the FNAF timeline. Nuts. Sister location is established between 1994 and 2000, so I think it's after. I'm not sure why it would be before. What else? Many have thought that the theory of Afton possibly speaking via a microphone through the Fredbear plush to manipulate and emotionally abuse the crying child was safely debunked. As the Night 2 minigame of Five Nights at Freddy's 4, Afton can be seen helping a worker get into his mascot suit simultaneously while the toy bear speaks to the child, making it seemingly impossible. However, this theory would then be revived by the Eighth Tales from the Pizzaplex novel, which revealed that Afton pre-records message to his human experiments in the event of them being preoccupied, making it plausible once more. I personally am not sure about this because the novels and the games and the movies all take place in separate continuities, and if you're familiar with the lore, it gets pretty tricky when you try to put the books and the games in the same universe. I treat the books as non-canon, not because I don't read the books, but it's because of inconsistencies. Kind of like the Batman Arkham games. There are some consistencies between the books and the games, but still. What else? In the novel series, it is heavily implied that Afton envied what he perceived to be Henry's perfect family and is motivated by jealousy towards Henry to kill Charlie. His motivation for killing other children appears to be in order to create a new family for himself by having them possess the animatronics, and he may have been inspired by seeing Henry use Remnant to bring Charlie back to life as an animatronic. The thing is that Charlie, or Charlotte, became the marionette. So maybe it was jealousy, but I think it'd be only exclusive in the novels. That's just me, though. Also, the novel series, Afton was confirmed to be stealing life essence from victims in animatronics, experimenting on it to attempt to find the secret to immortality. However, this part of his motivation only came after he found out he was dying from the damage injured in the spring body suit, making his actual slash original motivations obscure and vague. I personally do believe this. He is someone that's power hungry and wants to be immortal, which is why he was stealing the life essence from victims in animatronics. The Fazbear Nights version of the character apparently has a never-ending need to inflict pain, implying that he doesn't have pure sadism, or alternatively his motivation to kill out of sadism developed over time during his career as a killer. I do believe that, because he's a sick and twisted monster. It had also been implied that the Fazbear Nights Afton genuinely loved his wife and was struck with grief after her death, showing another possible motive for his actions. A later epilogue, however, would soon reveal that it's entirely a new character instead of Afton that lost his wife. Despite this, it's been theorized that the absence of William's wife is meant to signify that she's the reason Afton went insane, or that she isn't important at all to the plot. How do I put this? I think it's both the reason why Afton went insane and she wasn't important to the plot. Because I don't think Afton was always that bad of a person. I think he was mad after his wife's death. And when he lost or was losing his family piece by piece. And she's not really important to the plot. It's been speculated that the in-universe TV show The Immortal and the Restless that Michael watches between the nights of Five Nights at Freddy's location, where Vlad denies being the father of the baby, is a parallel between the relation between William and Michael. Vlad shares similarities with William, while the baby has similar looks to his father, like Michael is known to have with this. I am not familiar with that in-universe TV show, so I can't say. William could have been inspired by different serial killers like Aaron Fetcher, who was an engineer and entrepreneur who created the Showbiz Pizza Places animatronics, and Scott Cawthon, the creator of the franchise, actually met him in person. And believe it or not, his animatronics actually did partially inspire the franchise. Shocking right there. Nathan Dunlap, who after being fired from Chuck E. Cheese, shot 4 of the 5 employees fatally and injured the 5th in the 1993 Aurora, Colorado shooting. Dunlap's motive was revenge for being fired from Chuck E. Cheese, of course, and he was guilty on all counts. And he was guilty of first-degree murder, which I like to call mass murder, attempted murder, robbery, and burglary. And at the time, he was 19, and he was a former employee at the restaurant and was frustrated about being fired 5 months prior to the shooting. Which, how about this? December, November, October, September, August. I could be wrong, but I think he got fired in August of 1993. Of course, when he was committing the attack, he fled the scene with stolen money and restaurant items. At the time, the massacre was the deadliest mass shooting in Colorado until the Columbine High School massacre in 1999. I wouldn't be surprised if Dylan Klebold and Eric Harris were inspired by Dunlap. Dunlap was even sentenced to death by lethal injection on May 17th, 1996. A judge initially set an execution date for him in August 2013, but Colorado Governor John Hickenlooper signed a temporary reprieve that postponed the execution date. But his sentence was committed to life in prison without parole in 2020 after Colorado abolished the death penalty. Which was stupid. He should have died. He is also currently 51. Believe it or not. Not surprisingly. This creepypasta, which tells the story of a mascot of Chuck E. Cheese who had severe mental problems, gun thinking that he was the real Chuck E. Cheese. However, he began killing children using their meat for pizza. I don't know this creepypasta. I mean, I am familiar with Chuck E. Cheese creepypastas. I think it was the real Chuck E. Cheese. Okay, I could be wrong. Maybe it's the truth behind Chuck E. Cheese. The only issue is, some of these Chuck E. Cheese creepypastas came way later after the real Chuck E. Cheese. But it could be the truth about Chuck E. Cheese. I have no idea. What else? Freddy Krueger, due to both being sadistic child murderers who became powerful in death. That does seem somewhat plausible. Norman Osborn, due to them both being brilliant scientists, terrible fathers, and they both get stronger when inside a green suit. They also both have children who get almost as evil as them, with Harry becoming the new Goblin and Elizabeth becoming Circus Baby. If you want to know which version this is talking about, it's the Sam Raimi version of Green Goblin. Huh, interesting. The one confirmed inspiration is Hannibal Lecter, but that's only for his voice. It's also theorized that Toy Chica in her cutscenes in Ultimate Custom Night represents William due to Toy Chica choosing one of her classmates to be her boyfriend, but ends up killing them, while William seems to also choose a child and then kill them. I'm unfamiliar with Toy Chica's cutscenes in Ultimate Custom Night representing William, but Toy Chica choosing a classmate to be her boyfriend? Really? I never thought about the idea of animatronics and humans. I never did. But in the last cutscene, Chica is seen under a tree atop a hill with her bag full of the remains of her victims. The tree seems identical to the tree in the Lore Keeper ending of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator, which is near the graves of the original kids killed by Afton. I guess she wanted to go back to where she once was. I don't know. In Ultimate Custom Night, when talking to Old Man Consequences in Secret Ending, the background sounds, when modified, seems to be William screaming. Hmm. Could this be when he was dying and becoming a spring trap? I don't know. It was theorized that the puppet was responsible for Afton possessing Spraintrap, similar to how it did for Afton's other victims, in order for William to know what it feels like to be animatronic. However, Ultimate Custom Night in the Fazbear Fright series implies that Golden Freddy is the one that made Afton become Spraintrap by forcefully keeping him alive. I guess this could make Golden Freddy the real villain of Five Nights at Freddy's, if true. Or even the puppet. There is no given explanation on why Springtrap had his appearance change in Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator, since he would most not be able to have changed the animatronic suit. It's commonly assumed that he tried to repair himself with various animatronics parts from either Fazbear's Fry or Fredbear's family diner. I think he was trying to repair himself. I feel like he was. Many us believe that in Ultimate Custom Night we can hear Springtrap's last words as he burns to death, although he is likely begging Michael for help, given William's actions, I don't think Michael would help him. Also, it'd be a chance at redemption too late. Some theorize that Springtrap survived the fire in Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator. It is mostly because in the ending screen, or more likely the ending scene, the fire is behind Springtrap. Meanwhile, with Scrap Baby and Molten Freddy, the fire is in front of him. This may imply that Springtrap escaped, however, this is yet to be confirmed, and he hasn't returned as of now. I think he might have escaped. The story, what we found from the Fazbear Frights, implies that Williams is responsible for the security guard having hallucinations that are the Phantom animatronics. He doesn't have magical powers. How would that work? But alas. It is speculated that Glitch Trap was the suit William Afton used to lure and kill the 5 children that would go on to possess the animatronics, and not the Spring Bonnie's Springlock suit that he would later die in. So the Glitch Trap suit was safe. I don't know. It's also possible Glitch Trap was one of the temporary suits in FNAF 3. I think it was. While it's clear the Mimic is not William, it's still unknown if William is truly dead. The Fazbear Frights novels show that Ultimate Custom Night is a nightmare created by Golden Freddy to forcefully keep Afton alive, only to move on, with his absence being the reason for Afton to die and stay dead. Regardless, it's still unknown if William is truly gone, ergo him being dead or simply unconscious after Cassie leaves his nightmares, or if his soul is still lingering around, especially since the Fazbear Frights novels, which include parallels to the game series, feature Afton returning as a possessed monstrosity made out of trash, if only to die again. Thus, it's been speculated that Afton might possibly return one last time for a final showdown before being killed off for good. If this is possible, they might be setting up the final game in the series, where he returns as the villain, so it all could come full circle. But during the final custom night cutscene of Five Nights at Freddy's sister location, Michael's voice becomes robotic. Near the end of his dialogue. But the creator eventually confirmed that it was an error and was unintentional, which caused debate over whether William or Michael was killed inside Springtrap, until Scott's response to one of MatPat's theory videos, as well as the credits of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator, William was the spirit possessing Springtrap. Sorry if I was going a little off topic later down the line, but I'm trying to piece together a possible timeline. But I think he was doing it for his own enjoyment. Part of his experiment to create life from the dead. He's motivated by the loss of his family, and that his killings are a targeted revenge scheme against Henry and Fazbear Entertainment for creating the dangerous Springlock animatronics by taking them out of business for good. I basically feel like he was also jealous of Henry's perfect family, and jealousy towards Henry to kill Charlie. And he's killing children to create a new family for himself by having them possess the animatronics. And he's stealing life essence from victims' animatronics to become immortal. You know, I think that's the conclusion I come to. That he's not just some serial killer. He's a power-hungry, immortal, seeking guy. What do you guys think? Do you think any of this is possible? Let me know in the comments down below. And stay tuned for my Five Nights at Freddy's Movie 3 predictions video.